To be a Florida Gator, I'd say. We'll talk about it tonight on the program. Standing by in the orange and blue room with Shane Matthews. We're going live in a second. Going to talk about how could this possibly happen. 3 straight, and the Gators win the regional, host the super regional. On top of that, national championship in golf. Maybe they're related. I don't know. We'll talk about it tonight with our guests. Stand by. Shane Matthews is next. On Melton All Monday, the Buddy Martin Show.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye!
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening, folks, and this is a good evening for a lot of folks if you're a Gator fan tonight. They said it couldn't be done. I got to tell you, I didn't think so, and most people I know didn't think so, but they did. The Florida Gator baseball team perhaps modeling their comeback after the golf team. 3 straight wins and will be playing baseball again next weekend, the Super Regional in Gainesville. It was a tough one to watch if you had high blood pressure or a bad ticker. I don't recommend it. It was a really dramatic series and one which turned out Florida's favor. In just about 2 seconds, we're going to have our friend Shane Matthews here to share. And by the way, we'll put this graphic up now. It's just to kind of revel in it a little bit. There it is. Gators win. 6-0 beat Texas Tech, and they're going to be in the Super Regionals in Gainesville. Stand by. Shane Matthews is next right here on the Buddy Martin Show.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Of course you can. Jeffrey, you can jam with us anytime. Let's go jam with a guy named Shane Matthews, whose show you hear pot up with Matthews 5 days a week. We're lucky enough to be on it once in a while. He lets us, and looks like he's kicking back and just been enjoying the evening, relaxing. Hello, Shane. How you doing, y'all?
Y'all, you like that, buddy?
I do like that. Yes, I do. Your word up north, they say, what does that mean? What do you mean, y'all? Well, I don't know. It was a nerve-wracking tournament, and I'm going to ask this question in a minute. Is there any correlation between what the golf team did and what the baseball team did, and is it possible that it carries over? I mean, I have a whole theory about that I'm going to expound on in a minute, but suffice to say that today they finished off 6-0, and they're going to the dance, as they say, Shane. And I was really impressed with them. A lot of things, I won't go into them now. A little bit, certainly the pitching, the young pitchers especially, and BT Ryle had another monster day. Your thoughts, please.
Well, I mean, you bring up a good point. I mean, both teams battle back, golf and baseball. Baseball, buddy, I mean, a lot of bad things happened, especially in the game they lost to Texas Tech. I mean, if I remember correctly, that was the game we hit a couple balls to the warning track that would have been home runs. Now, granted, the wind was blowing in for both teams. It is what it is. But tip your hat to Kevin O'Sullivan, his staff, and the team. They're clearly the better baseball team. But, you saw it all around the country this weekend. And today, a lot of high seeds are not going they're not advancing.
Well, give me the roundup. Now, did LSU finally win?
LSU advanced, but Arkansas got blown out again. They're the 3 seed.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
They're done. Vanderbilt's done.
Yeah, I saw they were done.
So it's not a foregone conclusion, and give those kids credit. Buddy, you've watched baseball a lot longer than I have here at the University of Florida, and I know Brad Wilkerson was a tremendous player, and I know we've had a lot of good hitters come through here. I've never seen anybody like Jack Caglione.
He's a monster. He is to baseball. I know you won't like this analogy, but what AR was to football. If
No.
Wait. Let me finish. Let me finish the sentence, Shane. You're so emotional. You can't even let me finish the sentence about it. For crying out loud! If he had ever expected his potential, had he reached that, we'd like to have seen that out of him. That's what I'm saying. But this guy, Caglione, he's the lineup. I mean, I'd like to face that lineup of Curlin, who made a fantastic play today.
Who should be in high school still, by the way.
Yeah, right. And Caglione, and then
Wyatt Langford.
Langford, and he batted it first today. Anyway, so they got some sticks in. They're really impressive. Let me go ahead and throw this out here now and let you expound on it, because you remember when the football team, you weren't here, but you remember the 06-07 basketball team and 06-08 football team. And tomorrow I have Urban Meyer on the show. I'm going to remind of this, but they kind of fed off each other. And I know Urban and Billy talked a lot, and they lived in the same cul-de-sac. But there was, if you break it down, now look, this is what I said. I said this. I said that I can't prove this, but I'm going to go with the theory because I think there's something to it. It's probably a reach, maybe a hunch, but it's possible, too, that the grit of one team at the University of Florida inspired the success of another. And if you look at the manner in which the baseball team won 3 games and they were down and out, and then the golf team came back 3 straight days, right, to win the national championship and the individual championship. So I'm saying, who among you, now let's see a show of hands. Gator fans, if you're listening out, I want you to give me a high sign. Be honest. I talked to some Gators today about this. When they got beat the first time by Texas Tech, raise your hand if you thought they had any kind of chance of winning this regional. Raise it. You did, huh?
Yeah, I knew they were the better team. Now,
but
having to win 3 games is difficult, but they've had 3-game winning streaks multiple times in baseball. So, it all came down to. Now, I will say this. I guess I get my days because the games got not today's game, but last night's game.
Yeah.
When it was getting late,
right,
and we finally got second and third, nobody out with Langford coming up. I'm like, all right, we're getting ready to bust this joker open.
Yeah.
And then we get 2 guys thrown out on the same play.
Play. I've never seen that in my life.
I haven't either. I'm like, well, this ain't our week.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was, and then there were some base running gaps, but they just kept on pounding. And Rypel, I think it was, I don't know who it was Sean, or maybe it was Sean who said, or maybe it was Jeff Cardoso who said, for this team to win, the bats of Rypel and Rivera have got to come alive. Well, they did that today. Boy, and Rypel, he almost hit a third. It was they really pounded the baseball. Imagine if all those guys start hitting. What would that be like if they all start hitting? Wow.
Well, they're the number 2 seed for a reason, and they didn't have any success earlier in the year against South Carolina. That means absolutely nothing. I believe we got swept by them, but look, I expect us to win the super regional, and I expect us to go to Omaha.
Well, you do now. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of doubt. There were some people I know who are knowledgeable fans in terms of athletics, right, who didn't even know when they got beat they were going to keep playing. Didn't
What do you
understand. I
mean?
thought when they lost the game, they thought they were out of the tournament.
Well, then they ain't knowledgeable fans.
I didn't. They're knowledgeable fans, maybe not baseball fans. They're
Well,
very
they should know
knowledgeable.
that it's a double elimination.
Well, Shane, not everybody's as smart as you.
Well, you don't have to be. That's
You
how
assume
baseball is.
everybody knows this, and they
It
don't.
seems like baseball and softball is double elimination in any kind of tournament you're in
Well,
at any level.
all right, just come on. All right, let's talk about Ryan Slater.
He was great. You know, here's a little tidbit for you about Ryan Slater.
Mm-hmm.
His dad was an assistant trainer when I played for the Chicago Bears, and his dad is now the head trainer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Bobby Slater.
Good little nugget right there. So Slater pitched 56 pitches, right? No runs, 3 hits, 5 in the third innings. And then Abner came aboard. And he got so much out of his bullpen. I mean, Kate Fisher, I can't say enough about.
Oh, he was phenomenal, too.
That kid was he's going to be a big time pitcher. Obviously, I can see that now. He went 7 innings, gave up a couple hits, and then in the whole bullpen, and the fact that the team, look, they had one guy came down with the flu. Who was it? When he pitched,
was it Sproat?
No. Walter. Walter had the flu.
Mm.
And they battled back. So their bullpen really held up. And the Franz wrote a piece about this earlier in the week. So do we have enough pitching? The answer is yes, they do.
Yeah, it's a good enough team to win it all. I think the pitching is there, and obviously the bats are there. Got to put it all together.
Yeah. Before I get into the subject of recruiting, which I know is your favorite subject, I want to say congratulations to my friend Marty Smith, the coach at College of Central Florida, won the National Junior College Championship in baseball.
Yes, they did.
They've been there 29 years, Marty.
Is that his first national title?
I don't think he might have won one previous. I got to find out. I need to have him on the air. He's a heck of a good guy too, by the way, and a big Gator fan. So yeah. Then the other thing about it was, did I say this to you or somebody else? I wanted to see Colby Halter back at third base. I think I did. Somebody, because I thought his competitiveness, his grit, and the way he hung in there. I know he was at a hitting slump, but he just makes a difference when he's in that lineup. I feel like. And he was.
Yeah, he's a guy that's been here a long time. It seems like. I don't know. I think he's a senior, but experienced definitely player. Yeah. Experienced player.
Yeah. So really how does it feel today to be a Gator? I think you should be feeling pretty good. Your baseball team is going to the regional with a good chance. Shane predicted it. They're going to win it all, he said. And he mark it down, go wager right now. And then the golf team. I talked to a lot of Gators, and listen to this. A friend of mine told me this. Now, I'm not supposed to repeat it. My column I wrote about the golf team and Steve Melnick, who I wrote about him, how he cried like a baby when he saw it and stuff, was read at the table at dinner by Greg Sankey to his friends. I didn't send it to him as an example of what programs could do to inspire others. So I didn't know even Billy Napier knew I was here, let alone Greg Sankey. So
very cool.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm not saying to brag, but I mean, my point is, I think the subject of one team inspiring another. Remember when Billy lived in his cul-de-sac right down the road from Urban?
Mm-hmm.
You remember those stories at all? I wrote about it in the book. They often exchange, get together and talk about things and issues and problems. And really, Billy mentored Urban in some things. And when you get that part of this thing going, where teams are inspiring others and coaches are cross-pollinating, it becomes more of a tradition. Coach Spurrier was great at that, your coach. Because look, who could be a bigger ambassador for golf than Steve Spurrier? What he's done there. He went to all the women's games, basketball. That's the one thing. That's what I call leadership. He went around and to make sure he supported everybody in the athletic department, which I think is tremendous, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I was always a big fan of all. I think it's when I think it's how you grow up. If you grow up playing multiple sports and just love no matter what it is, you like to support it or be involved or watch it or whatever. That's the same way I am, and um, I play golf out at the university course a couple times a week usually, and see those kids out there and see JC Deacon and Dudley Hart. And it's cool that JC hired Dudley Hart. A lot of people don't know who Dudley Hart is. He's a former All-American PGA Tour player that had a lot of success, and he brought something to the table that helped him this year. His son's on the team. They got Billy Horschel, who's a volunteer coach. So, but yeah, you're right. Maybe baseball's feeding off what golf did, because I'm sure they watched it. I mean, hell, I can't remember the last time I was as nervous as I was watching that damn golf.
You were a nervous wreck. You blew my show off because you couldn't stand it. You're afraid you were going to miss something.
Yeah, I don't know if I've watched that much golf. I mean, I watched every shot from the very beginning. It came on the Golf Channel, whatever day it was when they were out there.
You had lost the whole week, man. You just boom, and it was compelling. And
it's awesome. Here's what I will say, because people usually don't want to hear you talk about golf on these programs. I talk about golf all the time. JC and I do, and we talk about golf when you come on my show as well. But I think by doing that, we made more people that like the Florida Gators aware that we do more than play football, baseball, and basketball. And they know that we have those sports. But I can't tell you how many people on my Titan MR text line or on my Facebook Live messages talking about how intriguing, how exciting it was watching golf if they had never watched it, especially college golf. It's different than PGA Tour golf.
Yeah, you're right. I've got a lot of the same thing. A lot of people I talk to got a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you say golf, it's University of Florida, it's sports. And now, I mean, look, maybe the track team will be next. Their women's team was they might win a natty, And here's the thing: there was a big party this past week at Spurrier's. 17 of the top recruits, all you people who recruit nuts, they were there. We had a little inside reporting going on for us in our story that I got. Matt wrote for us and today in Gator Bait last night. Have Matt on tomorrow night about making an impression on these kids. And DJ Lagway, I mean, they ought to build a statue to him. He is like a recruiting machine. The kid from Ohio State, the wide receiver, Jeremiah Smith, was at a table right next to, it was sitting with Billy. There were 7 of them. And right next to them was DJ Lagway, the quarterback commit who's been recruiting. And the reports I got, they would say, unbelievable event. The kids were blown away. But so far, no commits. We'll see how that goes. But so all of that aura, you think they didn't recognize the Gator baseball team was doing pretty darn good at the time? You think they didn't realize the golf team was national? That's impressive, I think, when you mix in the academics and all that. To me, there's something to that, the all-everything university,
Yeah, I mean, it was all over social media for sure. So I'm going to have Blake Alderman on. He'll give me all the updates tomorrow on my
Blake
program.
Knows his stuff.
He's very good.
Yeah. So let's talk for a second about the recruiting thing. I know you don't follow it too closely, but well, you know what? You'll talk about it tomorrow. I know, and I'll be on with you tomorrow too. We'll talk about that. But I know that they feel like they made a lot of progress. People were very excited about it. Big party at Spurrier, and now we'll know if he really turns over the dirt and reveals something. Hey, how about Brad Culpepper? Right, Brad Culpepper.
I saw he's has an opportunity to go in the College Football Hall of Fame. I don't know how that works, buddy. He has to get how many votes?
Well, I'm not sure how many. I used to vote on it anymore, but it just says the official release. He's named to the Hall of Fame ballots. So he's on the ballot, NFF Awards, Las Vegas, and he was, let's see what this thing. Florida has had 14 Hall of Famers, 10 players, 4 coaches, etc. Brad Culpepper, consensus All-American, first team All-American, recipient NFF trophy, nation's top scholar athlete, 2-time winner. Yeah. So, and there's a couple of quotes in there. Somebody said He's the bell. I know. Somebody wrote that. Who was it? A teammate said he'd never seen. Warren Sapp said he'd never seen a better nose tackle than Culpepper. His opinion. So anyway, good luck to him. That'd be nice. He's outstanding. His family's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
They've been around for a long time. Shane.
Yep, he was a teammate of mine for 2 years. So
yeah. You did the crossover 2 years. I didn't know that.
Well, I tell you about we were together for 4 years, but only played together for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know that. Well, give me your opinion about it. Tell me about it.
Football player. Yeah. I don't know who votes for that. I didn't even know he was up for it until I saw the press release as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he did win the Scholar Award and was first team All-American and all that stuff. So I don't know who votes on it. Hopefully he gets in.
All right, so I've got a new segment I'm going to start on my show called Heart of a Champion. And it's when somebody does something over and above what you should do that impresses you or gives you a good feeling about what they did. Like we would have probably had, what was the club pro's name at the PGA who finished in the top 12? I've forgotten his name, from California.
Michael Block.
Good, you're right. It was Michael Block, and what a good Heart of a Champion story he'd have been. Now he gets to play in all the big events. He made it. Then you've got other stories that come along that fit a different category. Victor Hovland.
Oh, I picked Victor Hovland, by the way, on my show to win the Memorial.
You did not.
Yeah, I had Victor Hovland. I had Siwoo Kim and Terrell Hatton.
Well, I would have liked Siwoo Kim. He didn't make it. Yeah, that's good. Congratulations. Well, but he had a chance. He was 8 and he dropped double bogey. And he's a good player. He's a guy I've picked several times in bets with you. Yeah, so Victor Hovland, I won't confess to me, he just seems a little snarky at times to me. I don't know why. I don't know the kid. He's Norwegian. But the way he's participated and played and almost won these tournaments last 3 weeks, and then had a chance to win it. And I felt sorry for the kid, McCarthy. I wanted him to win it. He's just a terrific player. He's going to be good. But this guy, not only did he win the Memorial and pays respects to Nicholas and all that, he goes out the next day and caddies for his teammate, Oklahoma State.
Yep, today.
Caddies for him. That did it for me. I'm thinking, okay, I'm in. He's one of my guys now, Victor Hovland. That impresses me. Heart of a Champion.
I like Victor. I think he's a hell of a player. But yeah, I saw that today was the qualifying for the U.S. Open, and he was toting his buddy's bag around, doing, getting the yardage and everything.
Yeah. All right, so here's the deal. Let's get a definitive decision. Greg Sankey is getting a lot of heat. It wasn't his decision, but for the SEC, we're going to an 8-game schedule. At least they are in 2023, right? Or 24, which is it? I've forgotten. But anyway, so there's a lot of heat saying they copped out. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I think Greg Sankey's a pretty damn good commissioner. I think he's pretty smart. And I saw somewhere, and I may misquote, not him, but whoever it was, nobody's ever won the national title playing 9 or more conference games, buddy.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. I'm sure Dan Bond or somebody watching you, but I think I talked about it last week on my show, and I saw it. I think maybe Peter Burns tweeted it, but yeah, I think nobody, and maybe it could be in the last 10 or 15 years. I don't know exactly, so I could be wrong, but think about it. The SEC is like the only people that play conference games.
Interesting. Well, anyway, it's going to level itself out because they're going to have these games. What they'll probably do is, first they'll force these directional schools off the schedule eventually because it's going to cost them. And secondly, I think what they could do is replace some of these other Power 5 games they've got with SEC opponents. But if the money, it's about the money, Shane, it always is. They want SEC they want the ESPN to cough up more money for having a 9-game schedule, and I don't think they're going to do it, at least not now.
Yeah, like I said, I have not followed it closely enough, but um, I don't. I mean, I guess they're going to stick with 8. I know when OU and Texas come in. I mean, that's just in another year. Why would you? Why not? If you're going to switch to 9, why not do it now? So I don't know if it will happen.
I just heard a real wild rumor. I can't prove it. Someone told me that someone of importance said Florida will play Oklahoma and Texas right off. I don't know if they'll
Oh
play them the
dear
same
Lord.
year. I don't know if they'll play them the same year. Maybe play them back to back, whatever. But how you like them apples, huh? How about
That
that,
would be
Shane?
that wouldn't be that would be difficult.
Yeah. All right, Shane, you sound like you got in a cold. Rest up. I'll talk to you in the morning on your show. Shane Matthews, part of it Matthews, Monday through Friday on Facebook Live, and you can check him out there, and it's a good show. Don't miss it, especially tomorrow. Some guy named Martin's going to be on there tomorrow.
That's right. All right, buddy. Have a good night, my man.
All right, thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. The great Shane Matthews checking in with us. Always bringing it. Let's do this real quick commercial for our friends at Titan MRI, and then let's go get our friend Kyle Curtis.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, thanks very much. Jeff Cardozo did a good job today calling the baseball game. I like to listen to the radio sometimes and watch TV. And this guy, he'll watch it and listen to it anytime. He's a baseball nut almost. And I know he's a happy Gator today. Kyle Curtis, how you feeling, brother?
I'm excited that the Gators get to see another day of baseball.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be up there for you, for all of us. But you've had kind of a close relationship with some baseball players in the past, and I think you're doing a story soon on a family. And you love the sport. And I said this earlier, and no one's going to be honest with me, but I want my listeners out there to join in. If you thought the Florida Gators were going to win the regional after they lost to Texas Tech and either win 3 in a row, raise your hand if you truly believe they were going to do it. My good friend Kaki, who's a baseball nut, she loved the Gators more than anything else in the world. She said, not me. I didn't think it was going to happen. And most people I know said, I just didn't think they could do it. Now, Dan Bond says he did. He probably did. I believe him. Others will say they did. Did you, Kyle?
I knew that it was possible, but we needed to.
That's not the question that you do. Wait. I didn't say, is it possible? Did you believe it would happen? Difference.
I believed in it. I really did.
Well, you are an inveterate Gator, I'll say that. And I know that you're always believing in it. But, I mean, look, you tell me your version of how they did it.
So, I mean, obviously, 27 straight innings, facing an elimination at your own park, that's not really what you want to have. But there was a sign out there in the crowd today that said that they just weren't giving up. I was actually texting Sterling Thompson. I was texting him all weekend, and he was like, I know they can get it done. And the bats got hot there towards the end. The bats got really hot.
Finally,
what I think really
sealed
finally. But what I think really sealed the deal was, the pitchers being able to step up. Ryan Slater last year, I was at that game. I think I remember we were on the show when Ryan Slater was still on the mound. And, I know that it was a good moment for him to be able to bounce back and,
roughed up by Oklahoma last year. They're talking about getting knocked out of the box by Oklahoma. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that, just those starting pitchers being able to come in, throw 6 innings, not only 6 innings, but shutout innings. I think we had some absurd combined ERA of 1.5 over the last 30 innings. just ridiculous numbers. So while the bats were hot, I really think that the bullpen and pitching staff really helped carry the way, and that's that's a lot of respect to O'Sullivan too for putting his guys in the right position.
Well, the bullpen did held up. By the way, here's a guy that was honest. David Baldo said, I didn't think they were going to do it. So there you go. Yeah, I mean, I presented this theory earlier, and I'll bring it up again. Maybe you heard, maybe you didn't. Is that when you have a team like the golf team battling back and throwing the true grit they showed, they were down 3 days, about to lose. There was in one report that Dudley Hart, or not Dudley Hart, whoever it was, one of the coaches, gave this sign like this saying, we're done, basically. And that golf team that just would not quit. And they set the tone, this fighting spirit. I know it's a cliche to say it, but it seems that's the kind of thing you want to see in your teams, the competitive spirit when all hope is lost and you're still fighting, to get that done. And the baseball team, at least at this point, looks like they got it, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, and with the golf team, I mean, nonetheless, against Florida State, probably our biggest rival in all schools. So, for them to, be down three matches going into the final few holes is crazy. And then just it built momentum throughout the university going into baseball. And now I pray that this momentum carries into the fall season.
Yeah. All right. So who impressed you the most? Kate Fisher? Who was the guy there? Slater?
Honestly, I'm going to go with Ryan Slater on the pitching. And then on the bats, I'm going to get Wyatt Langford always does his thing. But BT Ryapel, they were talking about him today and how he's not even pursuing a professional career. He already has his job lined up in finance. But I mean, you can tell how much passion he's playing with, and how much he really just wants to win. So I would say on the mound it would be Ryan Slater and Colby Halter. Man, I don't know if you guys saw that play.
I made the call last week. Colby Halter's got to get back in the lineup. I saw the play he made. It was a foot fan. And Curlin too, by the way.
Cade Curlin, but O'Sullivan, I mean, when Halter made that, it was like crazy, just backhand, grabbed it, got up, and made the throw to first. But O'Sullivan touched on it after the game, and he said, I think Texas Tech opens up the game right after that if Colby Halter doesn't make that play. Because I think it was 1-0, 0-0 or something when he made that play. And, it was just a real big momentum. And, everyone in the infield's been super sharp. I mean, Josh Rivera, Curland, and it took a team effort, and everyone stepped up.
And Texas Tech kept stealing these home runs from them, or at least making plays that were unbelievable in the outfield. The long ball, I mean, the wind blowing in, they caught balls that they were out. Yeah, and Tech
give it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Caglione had a few that should have. You comes off the bat and you're like, all right, that one's gone, and then it floats up in the air like a little moon ball and floats right back in there. And I even saw the outfielders having some troubles trying to track it down because it would, the wind was a factor for sure.
I saw one ball go to Newberry and Carolina come back. The wind was so strong; it was really strong. So yeah. So
Wyatt Langford hit one to Trenton today.
He did. He I think it might have been, I believe it was Jeff Cardozo, who said in the radio, I like to listen to radio broadcasts too, before the game, that for Florida to win this game, they've got to have the bats of Rivera and Ryapel. They got to come alive. And they did.
That's what they did.
Yeah. And plus the pitching, and of course, the closer did a pretty good job too. All right, my man, thank you. I appreciate it. Good job. Kyle Curtis, he's the up and comer. Go ahead.
Looking forward to Super Regional and just getting back into it. So we're not done yet.
All right, Kyle Curtis, read him in Gator Bait, folks. You'll be the next Dan Jenkins. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Let's go to the Orange and Blue Room and see the dean. He is the dean. He's been writing some baseball, I tell you lately, writing the wheels off of it. And he's back tonight after 5 games in 2 hours. Gotta get you to turn your echo off. Franz, you got your echo.
I don't have an echo.
You did it the other day. Same thing. And you did something and you changed it. But I'm hearing myself back.
I haven't done a thing, Divine. I'll hang up and try to.
Yeah, try to get. We did this for the night, and you had to come back and it worked. All right, appreciate it. All right, technology is different. Everybody's. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. These things do happen. Let's play a commercial while we're waiting. We'll be right back with Franz Barrett and more about it. See. Well, there we go again, Franz. There's a little button that says echo on it. You need to click it. Echo cancellation. Because we can't hear you otherwise.
I'll just put you on my phone because I haven't done one thing to my computer.
No, I know you didn't, but you had the same thing last week, and I've told you about it. And you clicked something and it went off.
I didn't click anything last week, but anyway, I'll call you on my phone.
All right, give me a shout on the phone. All right, thanks. Yeah, I thought you could hear that right, folks. Echo. I hear myself echoing back through Francis' phone. Didn't happen with Shane, so we'll find out if we can get this fixed. And meanwhile, like I said, we'll go play a commercial and wait for France. You guys have done so well in your business, but take me inside the organization and tell me what's it like when dad and son kind of get in there and don't agree on things.
Well, there's two dynamics going on, right? It's lawyer to lawyer and father to son. So sometimes, when the father and son stuff goes on, you have to take a break for a minute. You just say,
take a beat. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get some coffee. I'll be right back.
That's better than shouting. Shouting doesn't work. No, for sure. Well, being in my business, I have my son Brendan also worked with me, and it's been a test for both of us. I pity him. It's like I pity Carrie having to work for you, but bottom line is it's an honor. Really.
I know your son, and he's a great kid, and we're both very blessed to have our kids work with us. And look, it's a blessing in most regards. Sometimes it's challenging. However, there's a level of trust that you have with family that you can't replace with anybody else.
All right, well said. Thanks very much. Jeffrey Melvin Law, they won't back down. He will France. Let's go back and find him now. All right, Francis, how you doing?
I'm all right. Buddy.
Perfect. It's perfect. I don't know. Anyway, thank you. Let's get to the subject at hand. You did some great baseball writing. A lot of people talking about it. Michael Burgess' Francis articles have been really informative for us that do not follow UF baseball as closely as we should. So there's a couple people coming in and saying they liked all your writing. You wrote a bunch of words on it. Franz, let me just back off here right now and say, let me give you the microphone. What were the 2 or 3 highlights, if I can may make it that broad, of the tournament for you?
When Kevin O'Sullivan said we have enough pitching and proved it exactly that they did. Hurston Waldrop, Cade Fisher, and then today with Ryan Slater. I wrote that Florida had enough arms, that Florida had the pitching advantage today, and it proved out that they did. When you look at it, what happened was he goes Waldrop yesterday and needs Ficarrota. That's it. And then he goes last night with Fisher, and he comes in with Neely. That's it. And he had planned today to go with Slater for 5, Abner for 2, and Neely for 2, and it worked out that way. When you can get away with 3 starters and 3 relievers, actually just 3 relievers in 27 hours, you obviously know your pitching staff very well, number one. And number two, you obviously have the right arms in there. Cade Fisher is going to be an absolute superstar. he will be one of the weekend starters next year, barring injury. God forbid that would happen to him. But I was talking today with a couple of people who have long time Florida baseball people, and not from here to here, but from where he comes with the ball from back here and over. He reminds us so much of Steven Rodriguez, the guy they called Paco, who would have had a great and long major league career, except injuries just kept him from that. But Paco was up to the big leagues within 1 year of leaving Florida. And Cade Fisher, the way the ball comes out of his hand, and it looks like it's coming out of his shoulder. Just the way the motion is, everything. It's very, very hard to pick it up. Plus, the way he comes over the top, brings it down. There's a lot of motion like this with the ball. Very, very hard for batters to pick it up. He's only throwing 90 to 93, which is plenty fast. But it's pretty slow compared to some of these guys that they have. I mean, like Sproat's second pitch the other night hit
102.
You know, Waldrop yesterday. I don't. Waldrop threw, I think, maybe 5 fastballs that were less than 96 miles an hour. Caglione Caglione hit 99 10 different times. These guys throw really, really hard, and this guy's throwing 90, 93, which is, like I said, it's plenty fast enough. But he gets so much motion, so much movement on the ball. He's very, very hard to pick up. But the pitching was one thing. The other thing that was a big take for me was the way Kevin O'Sullivan used his lineup in the right way.
How so?
For example, moving Richie Schieckhofer into the lineup.
I was surprised by that, weren't you?
I've been wondering when it's going to happen all year because he's a terrific defensive outfielder. We forget this guy's a 2-time All Big Ten selection, and he's a good defensive outfielder. I like him out there. I like him as the number 9 guy. Michael Robertson, his hitting has just tailed off badly. And Richie gives you a good defensive outfielder. They're not uncomfortable with Wyatt Langford in center field. Wyatt, I think, is a terrific center fielder. He may end up playing center field in the majors, in fact.
Well, yeah, he's going to go high. We know that. And God, he should have been a tailback, for crying out loud. Man, the way he's built.
He reminds me physically of Mickey Mantle. We forget.
Oh, how tall is he? How tall is Mickey? Was
Wyatt's 6'1", 220.
Is he that tall? Okay, I knew Mickey. I stood next to Mickey. Maybe just bigger than life. I don't know, but yeah, go ahead. I mean, Mickey was a physique. He was a Greek god. He was something else.
Mickey was 6'1", listed 220, and I think Wyatt's closer to 230 than 220. But as we saw today, Wyatt Langford can flat out run like a deer. And to have the mind, here's the thing, to have the presence of mind, he's feeling against the shift. He sees the throw, takes the shortstop into toward right field. He has the presence to know that there is nobody covering
third. What a play.
You want to talk about double stealing? That's double stealing. I mean, unbelievable.
He made that decision. I think I believe it was the announcer, Michael Monaco, whatever his name was, said that was impressive. He says, talking about a 5'2" player, he's a 6'2" player. He's so smart.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant play.
His home run today, I bet that ball didn't go 25 feet off the ground. That was an absolute laser shot into the back of the bullpen there in left field. I mean, it was. he smoked that ball.
The outfielder didn't make a play on the ball because it was gone before he saw it so fast.
Talking about, though, knowing how to move his players around, he had Shellnut play both left field and right field. And I thought Shellnut had a very underrated series. Came up with some key hits.
Hit ball well.
Very well defensively. Made a really nice running catch out there today. I was very, very impressed with that today. And he's another good kid. You know, he's a kid that wanted to come to Florida. They didn't have a scholarship for him. So he went to Santa Fe.
JUCO, right? Yeah.
Yep. Went to Santa Fe and spent a year as a closer and then a year as a hitter. He had 12 saves 2 years ago. Last year, he had 19 homers and 80-something RBIs. I asked him last night after Florida had beaten Texas Tech. I said, "Is this why you came to Florida and held out Florida?" He said, "Games like this, absolutely." I mean, he is so happy. Grew up a Gator. He is so happy to be a Gator. Played at Fort White High School and was a skinny kid. He's another one that when he gets another year off season in this weight room, he's going to go play some summer ball. And when he gets an off season in this weight room, he's going to be next year probably 210 pounds, and he's going to really have a hammer.
Go ahead. I want to ask you a question.
I like that. I also like the fact that the third thing I really liked was I liked the way that Kevin really did a great job of adjusting the offense. They went more for line. You know, the wind was blowing in uncharacteristic, as you mentioned before. There were, Ryapel would have had a home run on. Ryapel would have had a home run. Langford would have had a home run. Caglione hit a ball that would have gone over the monster in dead center field, but got knocked down, and the guy leaped at the fence to stop it, and that was Saturday night. And those are three balls right there that would have gone out of the yard.
Yeah, they looked like they were gone. The shot from the jump looked like they were out. But that wind does come in there and play a factor of it. Franz, you were there for quite a long time. You saw all those games. Talk about the atmosphere, the crowd. How was it? Did it feel that there was because I think that had a little bit to do with how the Gators played. That was certainly an advantage. Although they weren't the home team on the scorecard for two of those games, they definitely had a nice crowd behind them.
Well, Florida had a tremendous home field advantage. Tim Tadlock, the Texas Tech coach, one of the really good guys in the game. He's one of these guys that if you don't like him, then you need to go see the psychiatrist because there's something seriously wrong with you. Classy guy. And, you listen to him and he is just pure West Texas all the way. You can imagine that when he's not in a baseball uniform, he's got on a pair of faded Levi's and a pair of cowboy boots. And
probably Justin boots, probably.
He's probably comfortable in that. But he's one who talked also about the great atmosphere here, that the fans, he said the fans really made a difference. He said, and his guys noticed it considerably. The FAMU people, Jamie Shoup, who played at Florida State Friday night, said, this is big time. Ty Jackson, who was the FAMU center fielder, came in, and he had two impressive things to say. One of them was about the atmosphere and saying, we don't see crowds like this at FAMU. But the other thing he said there's 99 miles an hour, and then there's Caglione's 99 miles an hour, which I thought was cool. But I talked to some UConn people who they had a son who's a pitcher on the team. I talked to them. They were trying to ask me about one of my favorite things, which is dinner recommendations. in Gainesville.
Did you send them out to Louisiana to go to a Cajun restaurant? That's what you normally do.
Well, they said one in Gainesville, and they asked me what would be my first recommendation. I said, go to Ballyhoo's. And they said, someone else said that. They said, is it good? And I went, yeah, well, Bill Reichert owns it. He's the brother of Rick Reichert, the reason we have a Major League Baseball draft.
Mm-hmm. Well, Spurrier's isn't bad. You couldn't get in there some nights. And which brings me to the story of the recruits at Spurrier's, and our piece, a very fine piece by Matt today, about the things that went on, the big push. Look, you know all about it. You were busy doing baseball, but obviously, and all 17 recruits there. We had a report this morning of where people was sitting. Billy Napier was sitting at a table with DJ Lagway, with Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. The next table over was DJ Lagway, and Lagway was doing a lot of table hopping around. It was a closed deal. Nobody got in, including any boosters, anybody else. They shut it down. They had security at every door. But the reports were it was enormously successful and very impressive. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, because they haven't gotten commits yet. But it certainly didn't hurt that. But that's the way things are done now. I guess it's what my grandmother called putting on the Ritz. You know, when you really do it upright, they must have done it really upright. I wasn't there. But the reports we got were there was a lot of good vibes, 17 players, and a good evening. Now, how does that translate? Today's world, today's athlete, I have no idea, friends.
Well, I don't know that anybody does. It's interesting that you'd bring that up because there's so much talk about how recruiting and NIL are all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
This week, Nick Saban and a contingent of other SEC coaches and administrators are going to Washington, D.C. to lobby Congress to step in, intervene, and set up rules for NIL. Personally, I think that's the wrong thing to do. I don't want Congress involved because the moment you get them involved starting in NIL, the next thing you know, they're going to tell us that, okay, we can only have X, schools can only spend so much money on this or that or the other. I believe let the market decide that. But in the meantime, yeah, you need something to work. I talked to the lawyer this weekend, and here's what he told me. What needs to happen is the football schools and the NCAA have to have the guts to secede from the NCAA and set up their own organization. And here's why he told me it has to happen this way. That the NCAA has already, for example, for lack of a better term, it's way too used too often. They've let the toothpaste out of the tube, so you can't get it back. You can't come in and put in new rules behind rules that are already out there. You've already punted on the rules, so you can't come in there behind it and say, "Oh, well, now we're gonna have to do this." It's not going to work that way. What he says you're going to have to do is, if the schools were to join a new organization that sets its rules in advance, then it will work. Then you can put caps on things. Then you can put all this. It makes sense to me. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm only telling you what a lawyer told me. And maybe he's full of it. For all I know, he may be. But for all I know, he could be right on the money. What he says sounds perfectly clear and perfectly feasible to me. I don't know how it sounds to you, but what he says is the NCAA can't come back and say, after being told by the Supreme Court, you can't do this, they can't come in with a new set of rules that restrict. So but he says that doesn't mean that, for example, all the schools in the Southeastern Conference
or the state of Florida or whoever
or wherever couldn't join a new organization. Now, I guarantee you it's far more complicated than my simplistic brain and explanation can do it justice for. But I can tell you this much. we've got to come up with some kind of practical solution that makes sense, because you're going to, the problem isn't so much that the rich will keep getting richer. They're going to. The problem is you're going to bankrupt half the teams and half the schools. And if you want to see college football cease to exist at so many levels, that's what will make it do it. It won't be because of any other reason other than the fact that you're bankrupt schools who've got to try to keep up with the Joneses and everything.
I got you, friends. And you're right. Now, I want to spend the rest of the time having you address this issue, because it's one you would be the most knowledgeable on. I wrote this today, and I might write later on about this. Maybe this is a hunch, but the true grit of one team in a school. Let's take golf. How it can impact other competitive teams. Let's take baseball. And what the golf team did, the way they came back 3 straight days to win the championship, and the baseball team dead in the water, wins 3 in a row. We'll talk about how this can work at a school, because you saw it firsthand with the basketball team in 06-07 and the football team in 06-08. And just one more point about the golf thing. I said this earlier. Your friend, Steve Melnick, wrote me a note so I could share this, that he sent the column I wrote about him. Not that it was that great a column. It's just he sent it to him about how much this meant to Florida. And Sankey, he said, read the column at the table at dinner in the golf tournament. Now, not because this is a great column again, but because the point being, a small team like that, and it can be infectious, friends. I mean, basketball, what are there, 12, 14 players on the basketball team? Billy and Urban's on the show tomorrow, they exchange inspirational things, information, whatever. Could it be that something as small as a mustard seed, like a team fighting through the problems they have in golf and in baseball to become champions, would ignite something at the University of Florida?
Well, here's what I would say about that. We've got a championship program here. When you look, last year, Mouse Holloway, for example, winning 3 national championships in golf. This year,
track.
This year you get one in golf. You look at the 2 fractional misses by gymnastics, for example, for
national
championships.
10th of a point, whatever.
There is something good going on here. And I think what we see in all of the sports and how these things interact, and because I think one of the great things that I've seen happen is that new dining hall, where you will see football players having dinner with basketball players, and with gymnasts having everybody, all the athletes are there together. And
great point. Is that the Jeremy Foley room or something like that? We were there and they named it. What was it?
Jeremy Foley Hall of Champions is what that's. And by the way, props to Foley for one thing. I asked him this Friday night. I said, when I saw him, I said, how many head coaches did you hire who have won national championships? And he said 11. You think about that. How many athletic directors anywhere in the country can say they hired 11 coaches who won at least one national championship?
I know a lot of people don't like Foley, including some of our friends, but that's undeniable. And I talked to him a couple of weeks ago about the same thing. I didn't get that number, but I mean, what he's done in Florida is, and remember this, friends, they were dead in the water. Remember, they were dead, about to get the death penalty. And the program came back thanks to Spurrier, and here they are. It is an amazing stat, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But my point with the dining hall and everything like this is this. You get athletes eating and dining and conversing and this opportunity together. And what happens is this, all of a sudden maybe two or three golfers are sitting there having lunch with a couple of three volleyball players or a couple of runners from track, and they're thinking to themselves, you know what? I talk to these guys every day. They're regular guys, and if these regular guys can pull this off, what can I do with my talent? What can our team do with our talent, etc., like that? I think they have created. We've had a championship atmosphere for quite some time because Florida has won. I don't know if you know this or not, buddy. Florida has won more than 100 SEC championships, more than the second place school.
I did read that the other day. Yes, it's amazing.
We have won more 40 plus national championships here. You know the only sports we have that have not won a national championship?
Well, we talked about this last week, and I got it wrong. Soccer would be one, right?
Soccer's won one.
Oh, did they? That's okay. Not volleyball.
Volleyball has not won one. Cross country hasn't won one. And you got one other. That's women's basketball. The only sports that haven't won a national championship. Every other sport has had at least one national champion.
That's amazing.
And I don't know that there's another program in the country that has that level of success.
Probably not. Yeah, that's amazing. Hey, listen, before I let you out of here, we don't know yet if they play Friday or Saturday, right? In the regional, super regional?
No, I think the NCAA will announce that after the Stanford game with the Aggies. And right now, it's a 1-1 ball game in the fourth. The Aggies are, let's see, it's the top of the fourth. The Aggies have 1 on 2 out.
Okay, now can you give me a rundown? I didn't have a chance to have been busy. I know LSU won, right? Who all lost and who won? I know Arkansas got hammered.
Arkansas, Kentucky is in, and Kentucky will play at LSU. That's 2 SEC.
Okay.
And Florida will play South Carolina. That's 4 right there. Tennessee is in. Let's see who they were in the 4 slot. They'll play whoever 13, whoever's the 13. Vanderbilt, I don't know how it is that they lost. That just boggles my mind. Vanderbilt,
I got a feeling you have this in your column. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, I had it in today.
But you don't have all of it today. I'm talking about the lineup of who plays who so far at this point.
Hope that it may not be announced until tomorrow morning, and TV unfortunately is going to have its say about who plays, who plays who. I can't, let me make a mention of something.
All right, you got to close it out. Go ahead, whatever you want to say.
I believe that the SEC is partnering with ESPN, and ESPN's absolutely abysmal coverage of college baseball this weekend. I had people texting me saying they're showing the Georgia spring game. They can't cover an SEC baseball game.
You know why? It's on ESPN Plus. That's why it's not on there. You talk about trying to find a game. I can tell you all about it. Look at my thumb. 1 minute it's here, it's there, it's here. They shipped it back and forth to ESPNU, to ESPN. If you don't have ESPN Plus, you don't get half the stuff. It's crazy.
This is where Greg Sankey needs to put his foot down and say, we are your most valuable college property. And
I doubt he even knows it.
Oh, I guarantee you Greg Sankey knows it, but it's about time. It's time to tell. Buddy, one thing that needs to happen, and the sooner it happens, the better, is it's time for the colleges to get together and tell ESPN, yeah, you're paying us money, but you'd go broke without us.
I wish that were the capital. It's not ever going to happen because they got all that. It's the golden rule, friends. Them that got the gold rule, and that's how it goes. They have sold their soul. It's the company store, to quote Tennessee Ernie.
But you want to know something, buddy? There's such a thing as strikes, and we've seen them all for years and years.
Call me when you see one. I don't believe it, but it's a nice idea. I'm all for the concept, but it ain't going to happen. Too much money involved.
Movies aren't being made right now because all the screenwriters are on strike.
And speaking of which, there's the Gator Swamp Kings thing coming out here in this summer, which about urban and the whole thing. I wonder how much the stuff they'll have in it. Who knows?
I've been told already by a couple of people who know what they're talking about that this is the biggest hack job you've ever seen, and I believe that it will be. I think they're going to sit there and tell us that everything that happened with Aaron Hernandez is because Urban Meyer is a meanie, and was running such a loose ship. And what they don't realize, I'm going to go out often. Aaron Hernandez, I talked to him for 3 years while he was here. One of the most polite kids, funny, engaging kids we have ever had here. He was wonderful with the press, always. There was a dark side to him, and you can't control everything. And if he had not gone here, he would have gone to Alabama, or he would have gone to another school exactly like that, LSU or someplace else. And they would have done, and he would have been the same way, warm and engaging on one side, and with the dark side that you may not have known about on the other. And we tell coaches, you're responsible for everything this kid does. You're responsible for how many times he breathes during the day, how many times he takes a shower, how many shower each week, what size shoes he wears, everything. We say that the coach is responsible for all that, and yet at the same time we do things. The NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, does stuff like continually says, well, the athletes have got to have total freedom to do whatever. And yet we take the accountability and responsibility away from them, and yet we put it on the coaches, and the coaches have no way to do it.
Tomorrow night, I don't think we'll address much of that with Urban, but let me say this, close out with it. You and I know the story about the story, because we know the people who we don't know that much. We know much more than most people know. We know the guy who was involved in it and what happened, and the police and Hernandez and whatever. There's a lot. I'll just say it like this. There's a lot of shit being made up, okay? A lot of it being made up. I'm not saying he's an angel, but I mean, the facts are just all over the place on that story. So we'll just lay off of it. Let it go. Francis, great stuff, great writing in baseball. Keep it up, and good job on the show tonight. Appreciate it, man. The great Francis Beard in the house. When he gets it straightened out, boy, he's good. You get that computer thing taken care of. Thank you. Have a good night. All right, folks, we'll tell you about our friends at Renstar Medical Research because, well, they're number one, they're great people. Number two, they're a great sponsor and a friend of the show. And were it not for them, we probably wouldn't be here. And they've supported this program for a long time. And they also are an upstanding member of our community. They have a high-quality, patient-centered clinical research facility right in Ocala with cutting-edge technology. They have trials in Ocala for things like Alzheimer's, psoriasis, osteoarthritis, migraines, fibromyalgia, and many other things that go along conditions in our community. You can take part in some of their clinical studies because they like to have stuff from here, from us, and our DNA, and so they can better address how to help us. And they have gotten over 700 of these off since they started in 1998. And they continue to partner with prominent medical pharmaceutical companies throughout the medical industry. And you can go to Renstar.net, find out about whether you want to sign up to be a part of this. Some cases they pay for time and travel. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thank you for a good show tonight. Thank you to France, of course, always on Monday night, to Shane Matthews earlier in the program, and Kyle Curtis. Appreciate it. Tomorrow night, Urban Meyer and a few other cats, you know. To the set. Talk to you then. Thanks. Good night, folks.